Saturday night. Welcome to the Jonathan Ross Show. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you all excited about the new Hunger Games movie? Yeah! Well, that's a relief, because in my green room tonight, we have two of the stars right here, Stanley Tucci and Natalie Dormer. Also on the show is one of my favourite funny men, a brilliant stand-up and the host of Room 101. It's Mr. Frank Skinner, ladies and gentlemen. Nice pleasure for you here. What can I say about my next guest? She's the undisputed queen of daytime TV. She is celebrating her 30th year in show business. It's the beautiful Lorraine Kelly. The lovely Lorraine Kelly. Who doesn't love Lorraine? And that's not all. Also on the show tonight, we have the multi-platinum selling superstar, Lily Allen. There's Lily. It's great to see Lily here. And she'll be chatting and performing for us this evening. First up, let me get this out of the way. I saw this in the papers. I want to share this with you. It's some property news. There is a beautiful house up for sale in Coventry. It's a Grade 2 listed property that dates back to the Middle Ages, but local people think it has an even more unique selling point than that. They think it looks like someone famous. Let me show you the house, first of all. There it is. OK? And they're saying locally that it looks just like Alan Carr. So you see... That's quite something, isn't it? I love Alan, but I don't know if that house is saying, welcome home, or what are you looking at? The weird thing is, there's another house nearby that I think also looks like Alan after someone's just parked their car in his rear garage. So if you see... There you go. More of a surprise look. Now, I was moved to read of the case of a man from Aberdare in Wales. He was claiming benefits. He said he was too weak to walk following a back injury. Let's take a look at the poor fella. Here he is. Doesn't look like a back injury, though, does it? It looks more like he's constipated. He looks like a straining satsuma. Like a clenching clementine. Like a tangerine with the trots. And I don't know what the 13's referring to, but I don't think it's inches. Exciting news for Harry Potter fans. Do we have any Harry Potter fans here? I'm a huge fan. A Harry Potter-themed hotel is about to be opened in London. The rooms were a replica of the ones featured in the Harry Potter movies. I'll show you one. You can see this is like one of the rooms there. It's quite cosy. It's quite nice. Looks pretty good. Checkout is at 11, or Expelliarmus time, as they call it. And if you want the full Prisoner of Azkaban experience, there is a premiere in next door. To dedicate that joke to Lenny Henry. And all the rooms there are the same price. Before you ask, they were quid each. So you see, it's a quid each. Don't complain about that. That's a perfectly viable joke. Let's get my first guest out, ladies and gentlemen. When I first started out in TV back in 1987, and I was like a fresh-faced young thing, and I was excited to be on TV, and I met someone who'd been around for ages. It was Jimmy Tarbuck, the great Jimmy Tarbuck. And he said something that stayed with me. He says, getting there is easy, staying there is hard. Well, my first guest has stayed on top for 30 years in television. She still looks as fresh and fragrant as the day she stepped out on TVAM way back when. Will you please welcome Lorraine Kelly? I love a bit of Lorraine. I love a bit of Lorraine in the morning.
You.
So congratulations, 30 years.
I know.
All kissed on TV. That's quite... How did you get started in the first place? 'Cause it wasn't your goal, was it? You didn't set out to be a TV star.
No, I didn't. It was totally by accident. I went straight from school to newspapers and worked in my local newspaper for a few years. Then went to the BBC and then joined TVAM as a correspondent, and I loved that job. It was fantastic, covering Scotland. And I never, ever thought I would be sitting on a pink sofa or a yellow one, but mustard, I guess.
That's kind of...
It's lovely.
We call it gold, but then we would, of course.
Right.
Mustard's fine.
Well, I'm a kind of sofa expert. This one is gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it.
So you were a journalist. That was your training?
Yeah.
And now you do journalism as well, but you do softer stuff as well. You do showbiz stuff and journalism.
Do everything.
Yeah.
Anything and everything.
What's changed the most in the 30 years since you've been doing it? What's changed the most about that kind of show?
I think because back in the day, we didn't have the internet when I first started out. We had mobile phones. We had the first mobile phone in Scotland, and it was in the car.
Okay,
that was actually smaller than the first one. So you can imagine what the first one was like. We used to have to take it out of the car and then climb to the top of a hill to actually get a signal, which is crazy. And then there was no point, really, because we couldn't phone anyone else on their mobile phone.
No one else had a mobile phone?
No one else had a mobile phone. And there was never any signal anyway, so it was a bit daft.
Isn't it kind of still like that a bit in Scotland?
No, we're fine. We've got electricity and everything. It's amazing.
What have been the high points for you? What have been the moments that you most, you look back on with the greatest fondness?
So many. I think I've been so lucky. It's like you meeting extraordinary people and doing incredible things. And doing things that you probably wouldn't be able to do. Even if you were the richest person in the world, you wouldn't be able to pay for it. I went up in a jet. I got taken up in a jet, which was a huge ambition of mine. When I was a kid, you know when you go to the careers office and they say what do you want to be? And I wanted to be a fighter pilot. That's what I wanted to be. And I remember writing that down. And I remember them laughing at me saying, well, don't be that. Look, it's me on that. Look, isn't that amazing? No, it's amazing.
But you weren't flying that jet, were you? Or were you allowed the controls?
No, funnily enough, no.
OK.
Because I'm not very good at reversing. I don't really drive very well in a car. But that is me up there. And the great thing was I wasn't sick, Jonathan.
Wow.
You know, because they do throw it around a lot. And you're in this G-suit that when you go really, really super fast, it's like getting cuddled by a gorilla. And it's to stop all the blood going from your head so that you don't faint.
See, I haven't been in a jet, nor have I been cuddled by a gorilla, so both of these things
I haven't yet, but, you know...
But people do, you're right. Normally, it's almost like a rite of passage, isn't it? People, they do throw up when they're in those jets and they go spinning around. I think Jeremy Clarkson thought...
he threw up well, I was going to say like a girl, but that's a ridiculous thing to say, because women are better. Women don't actually be sick in that situation.
Is that true? They find that...
Women are better. We are better at it.
Wow.
Well, many things, but also being in a jet. Multitasking.
Let's look at some... I've always seen you on TV, and it just strikes me as amazing. It's been 30 years you've been... Let's have a look at some of the highlights. These are some of, I think, some of my favourite moments of Lorraine on TV over this remarkable 3 decades.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
Hello there, good morning.
Good morning.
I'll be presenting the regular weekday top of the morning slot.
Very good morning to you. You're watching GMTV. It's Thursday, it's January the 6th. It's Tuesday the 14th of December.
So sorry. The weather is quite bad, and she is here. She's running over here right now.
I'm so sorry.
Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
There's lots of room, Lorraine. There's lots of room.
I wish. If I was 20 years younger, perhaps. Mind you, I bet I could show you a thing or two, Ben Shepherd. But thank you very much.
I'm sure you could.
But you know what's so funny is... Some great moments there. But the bit that everyone responded to was the bit of you falling over immediately. That's the kind of stuff... And that's obviously you get that on live TV. Is that what you like about doing that?
All the time. Just about every day something goes wrong, but hopefully you don't know, because we kind of cover it up. But I always think if things do go wrong, there's no point in pretending it didn't happen.
Yeah.
You just sort of have to get up and keep on going.
Who have you most enjoyed meeting? Who are the people that you've most enjoyed interviewing, and who are the people who struck you as being... I hesitate to use the word diva, but the ones who are a little bit tricky?
I think it's the ones who've got the biggest entourage. You probably find that as well. And then you find that it's not really them. They're not the ones being difficult. It's just all the people round about them trying to justify their existence.
Why they're there.
Because we had to wait, I think it was about 2.5 hours one time for Robert Downey Jr. because the room, we were in a hotel waiting for him, and the room, the minion that came in said the room was too hot. So he kept coming back every 10 minutes going, still too hot. Robert won't like it. Robert will walk. And when Robert came... Mr. Downey Jr., he was fine. Yeah. He was absolutely fine, didn't know what we were talking about.
How did the guy know it was meant to be too hot for him? Did he have a thermometer?
Yes, he did. He has a Robert Downey Jr. thermometer in his personage.
But Robert,
it's mad, isn't it?
Robert kind of enjoyed...
he was lovely. He was, but that's the thing. They're always absolutely delightful. It's just all the nonsense round about them. And I think a lot of people who are difficult, it's because they don't have pals.
Yeah.
I always think that they should have friends with them saying, you're being an asshole, you know, stop misbehaving, and they don't. They have people that they're paying their wages. So
Maybe we can get someone to do that job for Robert instead of going in and checking the temperature.
maybe we should.
It could be Robert's arsehole checker.
Indeed.
But didn't... that sounds like a different job, doesn't it?
Sounds like a very different job. But, you know, a good one.
But didn't Robert admired your physique, didn't he?
Well, I think it was when, how do we describe it, when he was perhaps not quite himself? You know, he had a time of his life where maybe he was discovering himself, having issues. Is that what you say? It's issues,
We've all had periods where we enjoy life to the very full.
Indeed. Well, I think he was, because he sort of came on looking a bit worse for wear, and he had no shoes on,
well,
and he was kind of wandering around, and then he sat down, and I said, oh, hello, how are you? And he just looked at me like that, and he went, nice tits. On television. I went, well, I think it could have been worse. He could have said, ooh, I don't like them. So I don't think there's any response to that.
Was your accent always okay on TV? Because it's quite... When you started, particularly, it was a stronger accent, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was more words as well that you use. You know, it's different words.
Yeah,
'cause,
different,
you know,
idiom and...
Absolutely, because I live in Dundee now, and although I was born in Glasgow, and a lot of Dundonian words at first I wasn't sure, like shivery bite. A shivery bite? You don't know. A shivery bite is, you know, when you go to the swimming and you come out of the swimming baths and you're a bit shivery and you need something to eat.
So have a shivery bite?
Shivery bite.
Never heard that before.
Or a fearty gouk.
Well, I think you're just making these up to...
I know it sounds like somebody at Harry Potter. A fearty gouk if you're a fearty, if you're frightened.
Hold it, what's a fearty? So a fearty is...
Being scared.
Yeah?
Yeah, being scared.
So you are a fearty gout, or you suffer from fearty gout?
You are one.
You are. So you're a big old fearty gout.
Yes,
have a shivery tit and get better. This is so, but you wouldn't have used those words on. You wouldn't have thought they were okay to use, would you?
No, I get it, but some words I did use. But when I was at the BBC in Scotland, they didn't like my accent. They said I would have to have elocution lessons, which obviously I didn't have, as you can tell. But I think it's different now. Back then, back in the 80s, it was quite unusual.
Now people welcome the differences that the country supplies. Of course,
we
celebrate it, which we should do. But back then it was a... But that's what's so weird. You think it's not that long ago, and yet it was such a different landscape.
Very much so. But it is different words. But I love that, though. I think that's what's brilliant about Britain. You can go to the next town, and people are speaking a completely different way, and they've got these amazing words. We don't want to lose that. I think it's really important.
Let's have a look at some of your... Do we have a section of the different looks that Lorraine has enjoyed over the years?
Don't do that.
Let's have a look at some of the photographs, because that's a long time.
Right, OK, in my defence, I was pregnant.
OK, oh, well, it's but it's
I'm sorry.
But the thing I don't understand is, why have you got a fob watch on? Why have you got this...
I don't know. It was the 80s. No, it was 90s.
Yeah, but we had wristwatches from, like, the 60s and 50s.
Can I just say, that was a feature. That's not a real watch. That's actually on the thing.
Oh, it was a designer thing.
It's worse than that.
Well.
Oh,
that's not too bad.
Well, it's quite bad. It was the 80s. We had giant earrings and big buttons the size of dinner plates. Ow.
Wow.
There's a lot of tartan going on. There's a theme here.
It's like you weren't Scottish enough.
No, I
they
know.
wanted to make sure everyone really knew.
It's terrible.
Wow.
Oh, no, that's awful.
Come on.
What is that like? I'm so sorry.
What were you doing? What were you doing there?
I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing there.
So what do you want to do next? What is I mean, presumably you want to say, is there a period where you think you're not going to want to do this anymore?
I don't know. I mean, I never take it for granted, and I think everybody comes to the end of themselves at some point. I would just love to do it as long as people want to watch.
But what's incredible is you've never moved down full-time down to the south, have you? You've always stayed...
I always go home, yeah, and I think that's really good. I think that's sort of kept my feet on the ground. You know, I love going home. I love to see Dundee United play. I love to take the dog for a walk, just do normal things, and I think that's great. I love London, and I love Dundee. I'm lucky to get the best of both worlds.
Dundonian at heart.
Yeah, well, I'm born in Glasgow, but adopted Dundonian. I love Dundee.
What's so great about Dundee, apart from the biscuits?
The biscuit.
Don't they have a special biscuit?
No, but there's a cake.
A Dundee cake?
It's a very big, I should have brought you one, really big, heavy cake. You couldn't eat a whole one.
You've watched me.
Not even you.
I've never...
Right, I'm sending you one, and I want you to send me the evidence.
I've never met a cake that I couldn't eat all of in one sitting.
I think you might just have met your match.
If there's tea, a cup of tea involved, I could eat the whole thing.
OK, I accept your challenge, and I'm going to send you one, and I want to see you doing it.
I once stood by the kettle because I had, you know, the big packet of digestives.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I ate a few, and I stood by the kettle making new cups of tea so I could finish the whole packet before my wife came down.
You're fantastic. You're my kind of man.
You can do it.
That's the kind of thing I would do.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you agree. She's a charming guest and just lovely company. It's Lorraine Kelly, everybody. Thank you. Still to come on the show, we've got the stars of the Hunger Games. That's Natalie Dormer and Stanley Tucci, and I'll be talking to Frank Skinner. We have music and chat from Lily Allen, so don't go away. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get my next guest right out here. Between them, they've starred in some of my favourite film and television programmes, from The Devil Wears Prada, Julie and Julia, to Game of Thrones, and, of course, the fabulous Hunger Games. It's Natalie Dormer and Stanley Tucci. Understand. We do. Stanley, how are you? Let's have a manly kiss as well. Let's do that. Come and sit down. So lovely to have you both on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so excited about the new Hunger Games film. I love the first two. There might be some people who aren't familiar with it. Not many, because it's a huge blockbuster. How do you describe the series, and how would you describe the characters you play in it?
You start, you were there first.
Oh, all right.
You're old school.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just old. I play Caesar Flickerman, who is the who works in the. He's sort of like kind of what you do, but in extremis. Yeah, and he is one of the hosts of the Hunger Games, so he takes the audience through all the machinations of the Hunger Games, the emotionality of it, the horror of it. But he always puts a pretty face on it.
Do you, please don't take this the wrong way, but do you miss having hair? Would you like to have hair like that? Is it a thing?
Yeah, it's cold, right?
Yeah, it gets very cold. Yeah, I miss having hair. I had a lovely head of hair. It didn't look like that at all.
No, well, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, but it was not. I miss having hair.
How old were you when the hair decided to leave you?
No, actually, it was just backstage. It was just, I was so afraid, probably it started when I was about, I don't know, 20 years old or something like that. It started to thin, but then it didn't thin in a sort of elegant way, in a nice way. Do you know what I mean? It didn't. It wasn't like, oh, he has a receding hairline, and then it looked sort of, I looked like I had mange.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. And eventually, you end up with this, and
And you've been in all the films so far. This will be this new one, which is out on November the 20th, I think, and this is called Mockingjay Part 1.
Yeah.
This is your first one, of course.
Yep, they've taken the third novel from the trilogy and broken it into two halves. So Mockingjay Part 1, I play Cressida, and she is this documentary filmmaker who has been tasked with packaging Katniss, Jen's character, to sell her as the poster girl for the revolution, the Mockingjay.
So you're on opposite sides of the equation then here. So you're kind of making the capital, the establishment, look good, and you're televising the revolution.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about... It's really interesting themes of modern media and winning the hearts and minds, and there's dueling going on of trying to win over the audience, basically.
Yeah.
OK, I'm excited to show you this. We have the trailer of the first of the Mockingjay Hunger Games film. It's film 3 of 4.
Yeah.
We're going to see. And this is it. It's out on November the 20th. Look at this.
I never wanted any of this. I never wanted to be in the games.
Miss Everdeen, it's the things we love most that destroy us.
PETA is the capital's weapon, the same way you're ours.
You will rescue PETA at the earliest opportunity, or you will find another Mockingjay.
It must be quite nice for you to be in, like, modern gear for once, because I'm used to seeing you in either real historical drama or kind of made-up stuff, like Game of Thrones, but you normally are in some kind of a old-style outfit, not running around with a camera.
Yeah, it was a nice reprieve to be running around in trousers and with a semi-automatic rifle and, you know, do that and shave half the head. And actually, we both have really funky hair.
We do.
For the movie.
Yeah, mine's fake, though.
Are you a Game of Thrones fan, Stanley?
No, I'll be honest, I've never seen Game of
What?
Thrones. It's terrible. I haven't, Natalie, and I'm so sorry. I could lie. If you want to just ask a question again, I can lie.
Let's do that again and make it a more comfortable
atmosphere.
atmosphere. Stanley, are you a fan of the Game of Thrones?
Oh, I love it. Watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? Who isn't?
Yeah. Good, because I had some questions for you. Just a little quiz here. Who do you think is Jon Snow's mother?
No, and I know people on the show. I haven't.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry, Natalie.
Wow, what was it about that part that you wanted to do? Because she's a very complicated character you play.
Yeah, the story of that is I went in to audition for another role.
Oh, really?
And I've never told anyone what that other role is, and I won't tell anyone. While we're still shooting the show, I won't say what the other role was that I auditioned for. And David and Dan, the creators of the shows, were like, we like Natalie Dormer. We don't know what to do with Natalie Dormer.
Yeah.
But, like, it was serendipity that they didn't really know what to do with Marjorie Terrell, because she's kind of she's a weird one in the books. There's not really that much about her. So to flesh her out and to make her a three-dimensional character within the show, they were like, you know, are you game to try something with this character that isn't really written that three-dimensionally in the books? And I was like, yeah. Yeah. Because I'd watched the first season of Thrones, and like you, I just, like...
Fell in love with it.
I'm in. They did what to Ned Stark?
Yeah.
You need to watch it.
Yeah, no, I saw the first season.
Now he's already spotting it. But what an incredible thing.
I know you're a fan of the show, but the first time I met you was where we had a proper talk was the Catching Fire.
There was the premiere for Hunger Games. I was lucky enough to be invited, yeah.
And I met you and your lovely daughter, Honey.
Thank you.
And then you showed me a photo that had me hysterically laughing.
You asked me to bring this along. We had a Game of Thrones themed party, and I like to go in fancy dress whenever possible, in actual fact. And so I dressed as your grandmother. In this but no, I think I put up... Let's show the picture we showed a second ago of Natalie as Marjorie with Diana Rigg, Dame Diana Rigg.
Dame Di.
There she is.
There she is.
Okay. And then, if you'd like to see me in that outfit... I'm telling you, that is surprisingly... That is a surprisingly...
I like how you didn't shave.
It's a surprisingly comfortable...
the wimple.
The wimple, and have you ever wimpled up, Stanley?
I haven't, but I imagine it would keep you warm in the winter months.
We have a wimple for you.
Oh, do you actually have
one? I do have a wimple for you.
Oh, let's do it.
OK, you might need to help him get that on. You have to put the chin bit on first. I don't know, because I tell you, it's very forgiving.
That's the chin there.
That's the chin?
And that's just your pocket.
Well, how do you... Wait, do you put the chin in?
You put the chin in... You put the chin...
How's that?
That's pretty good.
Right?
I think you found a way of keeping your head warm this winter.
Is it wrong?
I think it's a good look. I don't know whether... Frank, what do you think of the wimples? You enjoy our look? Oh, my...
Oh, very good.
This is my Diana Rigg impression.
Let's take the wimples off, because
Frank looks very comfortable in that, though.
You look surprisingly OK in yours.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
You might not
Do
feel
we get to take them home?
You can have yours if you want.
Thank you.
I got the gold one because I'm in charge.
Yeah.
You got the junior wimple wearer.
Thank you.
Let me ask you about some of the other things, because I thought you're such a convincing character. I was positive that Stanley was gay after Devil Wears Prada.
Right.
Because you're the most convincing gay man on screen. I wanted you to be my gay best friend. What a great film, and what a wonderful performance. And working with Meryl Streep, that must be quite something. And you've done it more than once, of course.
Yes, yeah. She's extraordinary. I mean, she's just the greatest actress ever. And, but she's also just charming and nice and smart, and she's a good friend. I mean, like a good friend to you when you're her friend.
OK, so then after that, you go on to play her husband.
Yeah.
In Julie and Julia. And that's a wonderful film. And once again, there you play the nicest man on the planet, perhaps.
Yeah.
He's just such a sweetheart.
Yeah, he was so sweet, yeah.
And you set the bar high there for the rest of mankind, because I know I went to see people and they're saying, why is my husband not like that? I mean, he was...
I wish I could be like that as a husband. Yeah, maybe I just need a fake mustache.
Yeah. You are, though, you are a cook yourself. You are...
I love to cook, yeah. I love to cook, yeah. And that movie... I mean, I've been cooking for a long time, but... and my wife, Felicity, who's here tonight, she loves to cook, too, and that's how we sort of met and fell in love through... Well, we met, actually, through...
You wooed her by cooking for her?
No, not really. No, she, in a way, wooed me by telling me how much she loved to eat. And that I found very attractive.
A woman who eats.
Yeah. Eat and drink, and that was very attractive.
And you prepare food together, I guess?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
What's the strangest thing you've cooked together or prepared together?
Well, when we were first dating, she came out to America to stay with me, and I said we were having like a little party on the weekend, and I was living in the country, and she said, "Well, why don't we?" She goes, "Let's do a suckling pig." And I said, "Oh, yeah, great, let's do a suckling pig." So we went and got a suckling pig from the butcher. We go out to the grill, and they had a big grill with a big rotisserie, and we try to fit the pig on the rotisserie, but it won't fit. It's too big. So we have to decapitate the pig. So, and we start, you know, we're getting like, I got like a hacksaw to decapitate the pig. And then we sort of, and our then nanny was there. She was German, and she was like, "What are you doing? This is so," you know. And then at the very end of the decapitation, she goes, "Would you save me the tongue?" And I was like, "What are you talking?" She goes, "Well, I actually do like the tongue, you know." So anyway, so we cut the head off. And then the kids come home, and they're like, "Oh, my God, what are you doing?" We go, "Guys, we had to cut the head off." They were like, "Why didn't you wait for us?" Barbarians, my children.
Hunger Games are so popular.
Right, yeah. Anyway, so then we did the suckling pig with friends, and we had a great... It was a good pig.
That's one of the most romantic stories.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Hunger Games Mockingjay opens November 20th. Join me in saying thank you to Stanley Tucci and Natalie Dormer, ladies and gentlemen. Great pig story. I love the pig story. Okay. Still to come after the break, we have the fabulous Frank Skinner and Lily Allen will be chatting and performing live, so don't go anywhere. That was great. Welcome back, everybody. It's time for my next guest. He is a brilliant award-winning comedian, a chart-topping singer and songwriter, an accomplished author, and I can tell you from personal experience, he's also a tender and unselfish lover. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Frank Skinner. I love how much you enjoy that.
It's the best thing.
Frank Skinner. Frank, it's great to have you here. So you're back doing stand-up. You're back on tour doing stand-up, which you didn't do for... How many years did you not...
7 years since the last one. But I have a child now, so I'm just glad to get out of the house.
Yeah. Why was it so long? Why did you leave for so long? Was it because you knew you were going to be a father?
7 years ago?
Yes,
yeah. I said, yes, I'll buy some heather, but can you tell me something? I just, you know, you keep getting offered other stuff, and it's easier to do television than to do a stand-up tour, so I kept putting it off, and then I thought, you know, Gracie Fields once said, I thought I'd better pick me knitting up again. So that's what I did.
You don't get a lot of Gracie Fields mentions on TV
No, you
anymore.
know what? I'm going to put a stop to that.
Yeah, you're going to bring it back in. Back on tour, how has the material changed, if anything? 7 years is quite a long time. You're away, you become a father. Does that figure into what you write now, into how you see the world? It must have.
Well, I don't mention being a father on stage. I tried it, and I tried some jokes about being a dad, and the audience didn't like them much. And I felt a bit uncomfortable doing it. I don't know why. And so I dropped that, and so, yeah, I can always, you know, bring him out as a theme show later.
Yeah.
I'm very wary of comics who, you know, say, oh, my son said this and said that, because I don't want him to look back on me as the guy who stole his early material.
You must love being a dad, though. I know it was something...
Oh, it's the best thing. It's just the best thing.
But you weren't in a rush to do it, were you? You didn't seem... It wasn't... Was it something you...
I was 55 when I had my first child.
There was a... People weren't quite sure how to react.
Well, It was my way of avoiding those difficult teenage years.
Yeah. But it wasn't something, did you? Did it surprise you, or was it something you thought, OK, now...
Did it surprise me?
Yeah.
No, I noticed the swelling in the stomach area. No, it was... there are the things people tell you about it, you know, but the stuff you just don't know. Today, I know comedians often say, this happened today, and it actually happened a year ago, if it happened at all, but this literally happened this morning. I was reading the new Beano annual with my son. He's 2 years, 5 months, so he's not reading it, but I'm telling him, and he trusts me on stuff. And I was... and for the first time, honestly, I read the Beano, and I remember thinking, you know, I can no longer condone the behaviour of Dennis the Menace. There's a bit where Dennis, as a baby, throws a fire engine and hits his dad on the head, and I thought, I don't want him to see that. That's just wrong.
So are you censoring it?
Well, you know, you do end up censoring a bit, and you know, you're an influence on them. You can't get around that. I do a Louis Armstrong impression, which you may have seen over the years in our private moments. And I don't know if you remember Louis Armstrong, but trust me, he was very like this. The colours of the rainbow. And I was doing that to entertain him. He didn't get the reference, but it seemed to go all right.
Although I believe he loves your Gracie Fields material, doesn't he?
Yeah. Over my shoulder. Trust me. And so anyway, so he was laughing at that. I was really impressed that he laughed at it. And then about 5 minutes later, he was sitting up to have something to eat. And there was a wet wipe on his little tray, and he picked up the wet... I swear, he picked up the wet wipe and went... I have never been so proud. It was just amazing.
That's what a lovely moment.
Beautiful.
OK.
His impression of my Louis Armstrong impression.
Let me ask you about another period of your life, and I've never really... I mean, I've heard you talk about this. We've never really had a conversation about this, but the period... And I'm fascinated by this in you, because you came to comedy quite late, because your life was something of a mess, wasn't it?
Well, I was a drunkard.
Okay. You were a proper alcoholic?
Well, it's a word I don't like, but yes, I mean proper.
What?
I was quite a reckless alcoholic. No, I lived a strange life. I remember a friend of mine sleeping next to a railway line one night. Not by choice, we just couldn't walk any further. And we lay down there, and we woke up at about 11 o'clock in the morning, having slept on the ground there all night, and then we went to a nearby pub. I had a waistcoat on. It's quite trendy in those days. And I put my hand in my pocket to take out some small change and took out a slug that had gone into my pocket during the night. I had sort of been... I'd been embraced by the earth. It was a party political broadcast on behalf of the Green Party.
And what was the incident that made you stop, that gave you the... Well, I guess kind of the... I don't know, was it strength, or was it just a kind of an awareness there was something more? Why did you change your life? Because, obviously, it was your life. That's what you were doing.
Well, I used to drink sherry first thing in the morning. I used to have that on the bedside table. So I'd wake up, put the radio on, and have 2 or 3 relaxing glasses of sherry. And, obviously, that was fine. But I then switched to Pernod first thing in the morning. And I remember thinking, you know, you've gone too far this time. I was fine with the sherry. So that was the moment when I thought maybe this is getting a little bit out of hand. But I didn't seek help. I got the flu and I couldn't consume alcohol for about 5 days just because I was ill. And I hadn't gone 5 days for 14 years. And I thought, I wonder if I could do 6 days. And so I just carried on like that.
Wasn't there a morning when you woke up and you thought you'd gone blind?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, there was that morning.
I always thought that was the turning point.
I had gone blind. I went blind for about 40 minutes and couldn't see at all.
But this wasn't like you didn't have a hat on, you just didn't wear. This was actual physical blindness.
Yeah, I had a slug on each eyelid. No, I woke up and I was blind for about 40 minutes, and it was so terrifying, I needed a drink. Also, I used to get... I remember being at a football match and I got double vision and I watched the whole second half like that because... Does anyone watching, as a little tip, if you get double vision, if you cover one eye, it's fine.
Part of the time you miss having a drink, don't you? You like
Oh, God, yeah, I still dream about it. And I stopped drinking September the 24th, 1986.
Wow. And so, what do you think would happen if you did have... I'm not going to bring one out for you now, but...
No, that'd be a great piece of television. It'd be right up there with, do you still miss having hair?
Well, I thought that was a legitimate piece of journalism.
I thought... If I had to put together the 5 best chat show moments of all time, that would be one of them. Because we all think that when we see a bald man, but no one asks.
Some people don't appear... Oh, he's leaving. Some people do not appear to miss it. They look happier without it.
I'm just glad you've got it out the way. I've known Stanley for a while, and it's always been the elephant in the room.
But I talked to her...
Can I tell you that Stanley's wife, who is fabulous, who's called Felicity, who I've known for quite a long time, we invited her, my girlfriend and I, Kath, invited her around our flat for dinner, and she cooked. That was how we did it. And I think this is the way forward. Because they cook, you do the washing up. That's fair.
Relax. That's probably a much better way of living if you're not a great cook yourself.
I don't cook at all.
And you don't even like food that much.
I hate food.
You don't enjoy the taste of food. You don't enjoy the experience.
It's all right food, but you know I can. It's quite time consuming.
It's one of not as much as when you used to drink Pernod for breakfast and all after day, surely.
Yeah, but that's the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, look at the trouble you had with those digestive biscuits.
Yeah, that's true. But I wonder, because here's the thing. OK, big exciting news for you, I know. You're a huge Doctor Who fan.
Oh, God, yes.
And after dropping hints for I don't know how many years...
I begged for a part in Doctor Who.
They gave him a part in Doctor Who. How was that for you? That must have been just the greatest phone call you ever received.
Yeah, I was... Oh, man. So I have been dropping hints, and every time I see anyone involved with Doctor Who, I would beg for a part in it, because I love it so much. And then I finally got, the call and I had to go in for an audition and all that. And the only problem was I had to film on my son's 2nd birthday. And that was quite a difficult phone call to my girlfriend.
Wow, so that's it must have been quite a difficult decision for you as well.
Well, the problem was I'd missed his first steps because I was at a screening of Remembrance of the Daleks. So there was a theme forming. But I phoned my girlfriend. I just got the answer phone, so I took that as a yes.
Yeah.
I figure, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, that a boy would rather have a dad who'd been in Doctor Who than a dad who'd been at a birthday party he doesn't even remember.
He won't even remember it.
No, yeah, forget about it.
Frank has a DVD out, ladies and gentlemen. This is the current tour. It's very funny. Frank Skinner, live Man in a Suit, which is the name of the tour as well, I guess.
Yes, it is.
So buy that. That's a great Christmas gift. But also, you should say, there's one thing I want to mention, is Frank does a radio show every Saturday morning on Absolute Radio. And I guess you can get it nationwide, can't you?
Yes, you can.
It's the funniest radio show on air at the moment.
Oh, thank you,
Most
Jonathan.
Genuinely. Frank, I'd love to have you on the show. Thank you for being here. Congratulations on having a baby so very late in your life.
Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous Mr. Frank Skinner. You're going to stick around, I hope.
Oh, yeah.
Stick out here. Frank's going to stay out here on the couch. After the break, we'll be joined by the fabulous Lily Allen. So don't go anywhere. That was great. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get my next guest out. She's a Brit Award-winning artist. She's topped both the album and single charts. Her video for her song Hard Out Here has had over 32 million hits on YouTube. Will you please welcome the outspoken princess of pop? It's Lily Allen, ladies and gentlemen. Here she is. Thank you for being with us. Lovely to have. Oh, yeah. Lily, lovely to have you here.
Me and Frank have come dressed as your desk.
Yeah, I think you have actually. Yes, all the colours are there. You're right. OK, so Lily is back with a bang, ladies and gentlemen. The album Jesus, which came out... When did it come out? It was like May of this year? It was way early this year.
Long time ago.
Jesus, it went straight to #1.
Yeah.
That's exciting, and that must have felt great, didn't it?
It was really good.
Felt good to be back, good to be doing music again
Very
for people?
good, yeah. I mean, commercial success isn't really what it's about. I just like making music and putting it out there, you know?
How long was it since you bought something else before that? Because you took a few years off, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, 4 or 5, yeah.
So were you nervous coming back? Did you think, OK, is this going to work with the audience that's had 4 years without me?
Well, no, not really, because as I said, it's not really about... I mean, people are not going to believe it because they'll be like, yeah, sure. But honestly, it isn't... You know, it's not about that. I like making music.
So just the doing of it itself was
If
good
it
enough?
sells well, that's great and it's a bonus and makes me really happy. But I can't do anything else.
And then you... Have you tried, though? Are there other things you want to do? You don't really want to do anything else, anyway, do you?
Yeah, have babies and be married, which I've done. So
lovely.
Yeah, and I still... There's the void, which is making music, you know. That's what I like to... I love singing for you guys.
Well, we like it. So you came back and then you play at Glastonbury this summer as well. That must have been... What an experience that must be, I'm sure.
My 3rd time on the Pyramid stage this year, yeah. It was... Wow, look at my vagina.
So I've never been to Glastonbury. I've got to own up. I've never been to Glastonbury. I was watching it on TV. I enjoy watching it on TV.
What have you been doing with your life?
Well, because I feel it's kind of... I don't want to go somewhere where there's mud and...
They don't play it anymore.
Yeah. Well, if the mud were playing, I probably would go. I know, I've just never been tempted, and I've never been, you know, invited along properly and so on and so forth. But you were going there when you were little, even, because your dad went there quite a lot as well, didn't he?
Well, I was born on May the 2nd, 1985, and I was there.
You were there when...
In 1985, so it must have been six weeks old. And I've been every year since that it's been on.
Let's talk about touring with young Miley Cyrus.
Yes.
Because I like Miley a lot.
J'adore Miley.
I met Miley Cyrus when she was still Hannah Montana some of the time.
Right.
And I interviewed her then. But she was a very tough, strong kid even back then, I thought. She knew what she wanted. How do you two get on? How did you get together in the first place? And what's it like being part of the Miley kind of live experience?
She is brilliant. And she asked me to come on tour with her. But long before that, she was just on Twitter and she's like, oh, just cleaning the house. Sure. And listening to Liliana record. That girl rocks. And so I direct messaged her and she was like, I'm a massive fan of yours, you know, let's hook up if you ever come to LA. And so I went to LA, that's where that photo was taken. And then a few months later, she, asked me to come on support with her, which was weird. You know, I've never supported anybody. I've been very lucky since the very start of my career. I've always been able to sell out concerts on my own. And I've never had to do that side of things. But it was really cute, you know. I'm at a point now where I just want to develop my craft and do the best I possibly can do, and to, quite frankly, be in an arena full of screaming teenage Americans that have no idea who you are is kind of the best experience that you can get, because you have to learn how to work the room. Like, am I going to just, be like, ooh, for 20 minutes, or am I going to try and get them involved?
But you know what's interesting is I think people have... You're someone people have a strong perception of what you might be like. And it's not necessarily even remotely close to the truth. And I think people would find that surprising that you would be keen to do that.
I just want to do the best I mean, I really do. I just want to do the best that I can do.
What's the biggest misconception you think people have about you? Either people who, you just meet or maybe the media, the press?
You know what? I don't know, because I just try not to read it. So I don't really want to know what people's misconceptions are of me. And the way that I do kind of look at it is that, I do what I do for the people that do like me, not to prove a point to the people that don't.
Well, I love that song you wrote about that. That was very good. But it's interesting, because, we're talking to Frankie about missing Buzz's second birthday to work. And I know that sometimes, especially when a woman is working show business and they miss anything to do with a child, then they get a terribly hard time, a much harder time than we would ever get. I mean, it wouldn't be mentioned about us, but with you, that would be written about.
Well, it's funny you should say that, actually, because my godmother called me today. She said, I am absolutely furious. I said, what's wrong? She doesn't talk like that. I don't know why. There's an article about you. She said, Chris Martin drove you home from a Halloween party. And I said, yeah. And she said, and the way that they'd sort of insinuated it was that, she's a mother of two, abandoning her children. It's like, I'm in a car with a father of 2. And at no point has anyone alluded to him abandoning his children. There is a double standard. And also it's completely false because, my children are with me most of the time. If there are photographers around, I make sure that I go in a different car because I don't want them to have guys with what look like guns pointing at them the whole time and chasing them. They don't, they're 2 and, well, 3. One's about to be 3 and the one will be 2 in January, but they don't know what it is.
Also, I don't know, this thing about the effect it has on the kids, I just miss him if I'm not around. It's totally selfish. If I'm on tour, I find myself sitting just going through 2,000 pictures on my iPhone.
Oh, see, my kids were just on tour with me got back the day before yesterday, 7 weeks in America, and they were on the tour bus with me. Woo! 27 hours from Atlanta to New York.
Wow.
With 2 kids under 3. Wicked.
Yeah. That's when you do not want to be with them.
No.
Yeah.
I was like, I got off that bus and I was like, actually, you know what, nannies? You can take them.
When you went away, I believe when you took the time off, first of all, it was because you miscarried a baby, didn't you?
Stillbirth.
Okay. Yeah. And that must have been... I felt really so upset when I read that about you, because I've always admired you. I've always liked having you in shows, and I've always thought you were just a really special person. And for you to go through that in the world that people are talking about, that must have been terribly difficult, I would have thought.
I think it's difficult for anybody, regardless of what world it is that they live in. And actually what I took home from that experience was that even though it was the most unfortunate thing that can never happen to a person, I was very fortunate in the sense that I have a loving partner to go home to and share that experience with. And there are many women, 17 stillbirths in the UK every day, that go home and they don't have that support. They have to go home and deal with that on their own. And so I kind of am in a bit of a... Since that happened, I kind of count my blessings, scenario rather than, feeling sorry for myself.
Well, that's lovely. And the fact that you have 2 beautiful kids now is what a lovely thing there. Are you going to have any more, do you think?
Yes.
Wow. So how big will the Allen family be? How many do you want, Lily?
It's the Cooper family.
The Cooper family, of course. I forget you said his name.
I don't know. I'd love a boy. And I'd also like another girl, just so I can call her Auxiliary Jane.
So maybe 4.
Or pizza.
Pizza would be a good
pizza
name.
for a kid. Or Mega Lols. That would be good. Megan Lols.
Wafflecopter. You're going to perform for us in just a second, but for now, let's say thank you to Lily Allen, ladies and gentlemen. OK, you want to go and get yourself changed? See you in a minute. Lily Allen, thanks to all my guests tonight, please. Next week, I'll be joined by Gordon Ramsay, the singer of Kitchen, Hollywood star Kerry Mulligan, the wonderful Michael Palin, and the fabulous Catherine Jenkins, and we also have music from Kasabian. But now, with Hard Out Here, it is Lily Allen.
I suppose I should tell you what this bitch is thinking. You'll find me in the studio and not in the kitchen. I won't be bragging about my cars or talking about my chains. Don't need to shake my ass for you when I've got a brain. If I told you about my sex life, you'd call me a slut. When boys be talking about their bitches, no one's making a fuss. There's a glass ceiling to break, there's money to make. And now it's time to speed it up, cause I can't move at this pace. Sometimes it's hard to find the words to say. I'll go ahead and say them anyway. Forget your balls and grow a pair of tits. It's hard, it's hard, it's hard out here for a bitch. It's hard for a bitch. Yeah, it's hard out here for a bitch. It's hard for a bitch. Yeah, it's hard out here if you're not a size 6 and you're not good looking. Well, you better be rich or be real good at cooking. You should probably lose some weight, cause we can't see your bones. You should probably fix your face or you'll end up on your own. Don't you want to have somebody who objectifies you? Have you thought about your butt? Who's gonna tear it in two? We've never had it so good, we're out of the woods. And if you can't detect the sarcasm, you've misunderstood. Sometimes it's hard to find the words to say. I'll go ahead and say them anyway. Forget your grow a pair of tits. It's hard, it's hard, it's hard out here for a bitch. It's hard for a bitch. Yeah, it's hard out here for a bitch. It's hard for a bitch. Yeah, it's hard out here.
As Rose prepares for the happiest day of her life, is someone set to ruin it? Downton Abbey concludes at 9 tomorrow. If you missed tonight's live X Factor, where were you? Catch up on ITV Player anytime ahead of the live results show tomorrow at 8. On ITV2 next, Keith Lemon has McBusted Boys in the studio for a special Celebrity Juice. And